the first story in technology news is actually yours about the Microsoft Band 2.
Right. Just recently, we had a leak. Potentially Microsoft or someone in cahoots with Microsoft had leaked an image of the new Microsoft Band, as well as maybe a couple of details. And if this is in fact the real band, it looks nice. It's pretty slick. It's slimmed up a little bit from the version 1. And instead of having a flat display screen, it now has a rounded display screen to better fit on your arm and look sleeker, as well as not catch things as much, as is a problem with many bands and watches over a certain size. It's supposed to pack new features, better battery life, less quality issues. So very much looking forward to that. And in 2 days, October the 6th, it is expected to be announced officially, along with some other Microsoft products, such as the Surface Pro 4, potentially a Surface Pro 2-in-1 laptop with detachable keyboard, that's 14 inches in size, as well as 2 new flagship Nokia Lumia phones, which is great news because I, for one, and many other Windows Phone enthusiasts have been waiting with bated breath on those phones for 3 years now.
Well, that's kind of cool. I looked at, before I heard this story, I'd actually looked at a Microsoft Band, but the technology, actually, that was a subject of an earlier podcast, I think.
Yes. Yeah, wearables, and specifically wrist wearables such as the Fitbit and the Apple Watch and the Band have been reoccurring themes on this podcast. And it's just something I like.
Yeah, well, that's where we're going now. We're moving well into wearable technology. I do like the looks, at least of the article you linked for us to look at. It does look a lot nicer.
Yes, it does look smooth and pretty. The sensors at the bottom look to be mostly the same.
Right. Well, there's only so much you can do with heart rate sensors. I think as a technology, those have gotten down. Although I think I heard the Band 2 can take, what's the word I'm looking for? How well you're hydrated and that kind of thing.
Ooh, yes.
That may be a rumor though, because that would be something neat to have, but you know.
I can imagine it having that potential just by sensing moisture in your skin, but it definitely has a lot of sensors that's not really matched by any other wrist wearable device at this time. It actually has far more sensors, far more being like 2, 3, 4, something like that, than the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is a bigger, more expensive device.
And 17,000 if you're in the gold.
I've heard there's even worse now, but I digress. But yes, this has a heart rate sensor. It has plenty of sensors. It can detect your golf swing when you're cycling, running, walking. It can be a fitness band. It can be a message preview device, so you don't have to pull out your phone. And it can work as an actual watch. As you can see on the leaked image, it shows 2:45, assuming in the afternoon, on Tuesday the 15th.
Right.
Which may be a hint, actually.
No. They're putting secret hints into the...
Because Thursday is the 15th. But we should know more October the 6th in 2 days, on Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, if you want to keep going with that, let's see. November 15th is a Sunday. December 15th is that's kind of a late release, but if you wanted to theory craft on the leaked article and the leaked picture.
Yes, just in time for Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's.
That's a little too late, though. The 15th, most people have bought their big Christmas items by then.
Most have.
Except for those, well, maybe they're pre-order. But anyway, we'll know more on the 6th, and we'll probably talk about the band again.
Right. That will be more for next week's podcast. But in other news, I want to talk more about the Lumia devices that have been leaked. These may have been in the ears of people as codename Cityman and Talkman. These are two Quad HD displayed phones, one at 5.2 inches, the other at 5.7 inches. They are possibly being called the Lumia 950 and the 950 XL, XL being the larger screen version, and they essentially have the same specs, with the exception of the raw size of the screen. They have that mentioned Quad HD display, 20 megapixel pure view camera with Zeiss optics, which the Lumia cameras are some of the best cameras you can have with a phone, and 32 gigabytes of built-in storage with micro SD expansion slots, or one slot per phone rather, that can expand the phone's capacity up to 2 gigabytes. These devices will be running Windows 10 and feature, I believe, Gorilla Glass 4, Generation 4, which is nice. I have the Gorilla Glass 2 on my Lumia 920 that I use as a daily driver, and it is very useful. I've actually dropped the phone on concrete and it doesn't bust. I literally just this past week used my phone in a demonstration talking about how it's nice to...
You didn't throw your phone on the ground, did you?
Yes, I purposely threw my phone on the ground this past week and it didn't even scratch it. Because I'm that confident in it.
That is very brave.
One of the scientists was trying to goad the other two scientists into upgrading from their iPhone 5s to the 6S just because it was coming out. The glass break thing came up as a subject. They were saying their iPhones have fortunately not shattered yet. Theirs is in cases, and we just talked about it and was like, yeah, I'm happy with my Swedish build quality. And I demonstrated by throwing it at the floor, on the hard floor. Didn't do a thing to it. But we're getting off track again.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So, a couple things just based on this article I do really like. They're both Quad HD, WQHD displays. And it looks like that's the only side, they're the same resolution. From a developer standpoint, it makes things really easy if the hardware you're writing this stuff for actually is identical. Right. You know, or at least scales the same. That's a problem that does run into in the Android world, where you might have a 16 by 9 tablet, or you might have a 16 by 9 phone, or you might have a 4 by 3 tablet, or worse yet, you get some of these really cheap, knockoff's the wrong word because there's no such thing as a knockoff Android device, but you get some devices that might have like 1366 by 768 resolution or some weird off, so you have to take your assets and split them up, or not split them up. You have to make sure you got icons that look good in a bunch of different resolutions. The backgrounds look good in a bunch of different resolutions, capabilities. But then it's something I've noticed with Windows phones, at least on each generation I've looked at, is the hardware has very similar capability.
Right. It's more well regulated than Android, but not to the same degree as, say, the Apple ecosystem, the Apple iOS devices. Whereas Apple is the sole software provider and the sole manufacturer of the hardware. So they have that really tight-knit control over the form factor. Whereas Android, it's kind of like the Wild West where anything goes as far as device manufacturing goes. And Android is free to the manufacturers. Now, with the Windows Phone platform, it's in between. Devices of a certain size, I believe below 8 inches diagonally, is free. Windows is free for those devices. But in order to make a Windows Phone, Microsoft does have guidelines that they want you to follow as a device manufacturer. And it's not as strict today as it was, say, I think it was 2008. Maybe 2010. Yes, it was around 2009, 2010, where they launched the Windows Phone 7. The requirements were so strict at that point, it did kind of hamstring Microsoft a bit with the device innovation from the manufacturers. because they had to have a very specific form factor and specs and whatnot. But we're past that now. But it's a good balance between the two.
Dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
But we're definitely behind right now.